Hello and welcome back to Dreamwalker Tarot. My name is Dawn and this is the March reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Mercury. Please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for post notifications. This month I'm working with the Celtic Cross spread, and the card that comes out in the current position is the Devil in reverse. It's interesting because this card has been coming out for the other videos that I've done so far this month. This card is coming out, and so when we see the Devil in reverse, we see like you're in this place of transition. You might have gone through a period where you kind of like lapsed into dealing with like your coping mechanisms to deal with something that you're going through. So you might be having like a little bit of like burnout. You might have had a little bit of a crash, just feeling like overwhelmed, and so you might have been kind of like falling back into like old patterns that you used to deal with things like when you're stressed and when you're going through a lot. But you look like in this month you're kind of trying to come out of that, right, and trying to move away from that. Some of you could be dealing with a Capricorn individual. You could also be dealing with a Pisces. But you're in this period right now where you're kind of like dealing with the fallout from things that you might have done last month, or like negative patterns, whether it be things that you were doing or things that you were thinking or things that you were saying, participating in negative behaviors. And I feel like you are kind of trying to like navigate away from that. The Devil in reverse is kind of like a rebirth type of energy where you kind of like let loose in terms of like your schedule or your normal patterns or your normal behaviors, and now you're trying to kind of come back into your regular scheduled programs, so to speak. And you're being crossed here. The card that comes out for what's crossing you is the Sun card. And so a lot of this struggle or feeling like you're kind of like losing a little bit of control could have to do with like your home life. It could have to do with your children. It could have to do with like your personal hobbies, your work. I really do feel like children energy here. There's a Leo energy also here present with the Sun. So the individual that it could be pertaining to could be a Leo person. It could be your child, or it could just be a child in your home. And so that's one aspect of this reading, but also it could really just be you struggling with the two dimensions of yourself, right? So we have the Devil here, and then we have the Sun card. So really just having like a fight right now in this transition period to kind of deal with like your darkness and the heaviness that you might be feeling, or the heaviness that you might be going through, and really trying to step out of that and really trying to just enjoy your life, right? Enjoy your kids, enjoy going out, enjoy spending time with your family, to kind of navigate away from whatever like depressive feelings you might be having or sadness that you might be feeling. I feel like you're trying to actively move out of that, but right now it seems like a little bit of a push and pull with that energy. In the past position, the card that comes out is the Nine of Wands. So when you see the Nine of Wands, it's really talking about a person that's been through a lot. Like I said, this is in the past. So you're coming out of a space of really feeling like, you were kind of like abused or taken advantage of. You might have been fighting with some people that you trusted, some people that are in your family. Like I said, there's children. There's an aspect of this reading that is circulating or kind of dealing with like family and your children. And so you might have been involved with like an argument, within like your family structure. And so you kind of come out of that situation feeling like a little bit worse for the wear, feeling a little bit wounded. I kind of feel like the wound is more emotional than physical. But you're kind of like trying to navigate out of that and to move past that. The clarification cards is coming from the Lenormand Oracle deck, and the cards that came out to clarify the Nine of Wands in reverse is the Cloud card, the Letter, and the Bouquet. And so what this is saying is that you might be in a space where you're feeling a little bit paranoid, and a little bit overwhelmed with, whatever the situation is that you just recently went through, or trying to, kind of like work yourself out of. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that you're still confused about it. The cloud card is really talking about confusion in terms of a correspondence, which is what the letter card represents. So you might have gotten some message. So the letter is really dealing with like communication, right? So there's also a Gemini here in the mix. So there might be some confusion about the communication that you receive from someone, that seems a little bit disingenuous. It seems like they said one thing, but you kind of really aren't sure if they really meant what they said. And ultimately, it's left you really in a state of confusion. And I think with the Nine of Wands here, there's a sense of like paranoia as to whether or not you can trust this individual, or trust what it is that they're saying, or the things that they're communicating to you. On a conscious level, the card that comes out for what's in your consciousness right now is the Empress in reverse. And so I think ultimately there is a sense for you that you aren't really you're not able to really create the dynamic that you want. The Empress in reverse is really talking about the inability to create, right? And so this could be creating or starting like a new relationship, or really changing the dynamic of a current relationship. It could also mean, if for those of you who want to have children, you're feeling like you're not able to really do that. Like if you're trying to get pregnant, it's not happening. And so there's like a sense of that is what's kind of on your mind. It really kind of feels like not being able to create the life that you want, right? And that type of lush type of energy, Taurus is really like a Venusian type of energy. And I feel like you're not able to create that type of life for yourself. And so that's kind of what is really on your mind. The clarification for the Empress in reverse is the stork, the anchor, and the rider. And so when we see the stork is an indication of like change. It's an indication of like transformation, and also movement. So some of you might be wanting to travel, really, moving from one space to another, maybe moving houses, maybe moving from one house into a bigger house. It's really about change and transformation. And it looks like you not being able to do that is really what's on your mind, right? So it's like you're trying to find an escape. And that's probably why we had the devil card out in the beginning, because for some of you, the escape is, into escaping into like negative patterns that help you to kind of like deal with stress. And so, you really are trying to get out of that. This is about breaking cycles and breaking patterns in your life. And I really feel like you kind of feel stuck, right? And you feel like you're in the space where you're unable to create that type of security for yourself, which is kind of like what the anchor is. The anchor is really talking about some sort of stability. And so your focus is on the transformation and on the change, on moving forward, on moving away from where you are currently, whether it be a physical space that you're trying to move away from, or an emotional space that you're trying to move away from. But it feels like you're unable to do that, and you are kind of feeling a little bit stuck. The Rider card is also a card, sorry about that talks about birth, an announcement, a news of a change. So some of you could be waiting for information that would allow you to make this transition, or allow you to make this change, and it's like delayed, right? So there's like ultimately there's a delay, and I feel like you're consciously thinking about that delay and consciously thinking about that. But there is an idea here of a birth announcement. So like I said it before, some of you might be trying to have a child, or kind of like waiting for news of that. And so you're kind of like in a suspended state of being right now, waiting for the information or the news to come in. What is in the subconscious is the Emperor card. And so I feel like what's happening here is that there's like a struggle for you right now to really step into this father role. Like this card is really talking about like a fatherly role. So again, this doesn't necessarily have to be a male or a female. It's really just a role of providing for your family, taking care of your loved ones, defending your home, being the breadwinner, being the person that is, that other people can rely on for security and stability, responsibility. And I feel like at the subconscious level, whatever this is that's going on is really coming down to the way that you feel about your role within the family, your ability to take care of your family, the ability to take care of your partner, the ability to take care of your children, to have to be seen as a powerful person, a leader, someone that can be respected, someone that has authority, someone that basically is setting up the structures within like your family unit, or even if this is at work, like you want to be seen that way. And ultimately I feel like you don't necessarily feel like you're stepping into that role, or that role is being delayed for some reason. And so you're kind of having a struggle between, like I said, with the devil card and the sun card, it's like you're kind of caught between those two spaces in your life. But ultimately in the subconscious level, the reason why you're struggling right now is due to the fact that you want to kind of be looked at as the person that has authority over what's going on, just really kind of establishing like a structure in your family and like being like a father figure. So I feel like not being able to have that is kind of leaving you feeling the way that you're feeling, and that is leading to like I said, that struggle between the devil and the sun card. The card for the position of the near future is the Knight of Pentacles. And so ultimately, even though you feel like you're not necessarily in the space that you want to be, you are doing the things that you need to do. So even though this is something that you probably heavy on your brain, heavy on your mind, you still are getting up every day and going to work and doing the things that you need to do and putting in the work that you need to put in, because like the work doesn't stop, right? Like you still have to move forward. And I feel like you're still putting in the work that needs to be done, which is good. Like, you should probably tap into spending more time outside in nature. If you're on the East Coast, maybe not today, but the weather is going to be getting better. So try to go outside and try to really take advantage of like the good weather, hiking, becoming one with nature, maybe some meditation. But ultimately with this card here, it's showing that you are still going to keep moving forward and working towards what it is that you need to work towards. The Knight of Pentacles, is a really productive type of energy. It's really, someone who is committed to a goal, committed to an outcome, and is committed to working toward that goal. In the position of like your current actions and what you're currently doing is the Four of Cups, right? So this is basically a retreat type of energy. So there's a little bit of a paranoia, and you are like a retreating, and you are kind of like withdrawing. I feel like this is like an emotional type of withdrawal. So even though you are going to work and you're doing the things that you need to do, I feel like there is a little bit of a sadness, a little bit of a wishing for things to be different. If whatever it is that you're waiting on, you're actively in your head about it, right? Really kind of focused on, you might be bored, or you might be dissatisfied with like your everyday life. I feel like you're waiting for something to come through. And so right now you're just really kind of in your head, really just being withdrawn and being shut off. You want to make sure that you don't shut off your family and your friends and the people that love and care about you. This is a good time to really kind of like be introspective about the way that you feel in terms of what you feel like you should be doing as opposed to what you are doing. I feel like that's kind of like weighing on you. I feel like there's a lot of energy surrounding what you should be doing, where you should be, the things that you should be doing. The clarification for that is the bear, again, the bouquet, and also the book. And so there is like this focus on like school, on education. I feel like some of you are thinking about like your craft or your work, and how that feeds into like your position of power, and how you're viewed in this world, but also your ability, again, to care and provide. Some of you might be really thinking about going back to school, really kind of like studying a betrayed. And for others of you, I feel like you just want to be recognized for your accomplishments and for the things that you are doing. You might have this feeling that you are being kind of like taken for granted, or that people are not really acknowledging or recognizing how much you actually do provide to like your family or even at work. Like you kind of feel like you're waiting for that recognition. But again, there's like this element of waiting, like, waiting for praise, or waiting for some type of like, you could be waiting to graduate, or again, going back to school to like finish your degree, or entering into like a craft program, or, learning a particular skill. So I feel like that is something that's also on your mind, or something that you're thinking about doing. And that's kind of like where your energy and your focus is right now, while you're still doing all the things that you need to do. The card that's coming out in like the subconscious influences kind of like feeding the situation, or involved in the situation, is the Seven of Cups. And so there's this element of like the opportunities that are available to you. There's a lot of choices available to you, and I feel like that is kind of like currying the pot a little bit, because you want to be aware of sometimes things that are presented to you aren't necessarily what's there, right? So again, this goes back to like the confusion about the information that's being given to you. Like you might not be getting clear information, or you might be presented with a lot of opportunities, or a lot of things, different opportunities that are being presented, but they don't necessarily pan out the way that you think they're going to pan out, right? And so this actually goes back into the thing about like wishful thinking, and really just being in your head about it, and really focusing on the things that are being presented, but what are they really, right? So again, this comes down to like communication, right? We have like Mercury influence, we have like this Gemini influence, but we also have this element of like someone who isn't necessarily being forthcoming with you, and kind of like giving you false information, or misleading you, or giving you misleading information. The difference between the Seven of Cups and Four of Cups is Three of Cups, right? And so there's this idea here with the Three of Cups, that regardless on whatever it is that you are waiting for, that you should be really in a mode of celebrating, and celebrating all aspects of life, and celebrating yourself, really spending time again with your family and your friends, and having having a good time, and not dwelling on the things that you don't have, or dwelling on dwelling on the things that you're not doing, or the things that you're not able to provide. I feel like you have a really good, strong social circle. This idea of your social circle keeps showing up in this reading. So you do have a good social circle. And so you should really tap into that, tap into the ones that you can trust, and the people that intuitively that you could trust, because they're there, right? Your home life and your space in your house is going to be a really good space for you to really kind of like withdraw to in this time where you're kind of like waiting for information, or waiting for news. But you're really just going to have to feed into like your family, and really enjoying your family life at this point, right? Don't neglect your family. Don't neglect your social circle. Really have good food, have good conversation, and enjoy life. In the position of your hopes and your fears, we have the Two of Swords in reverse. And so this is really you being afraid of making the wrong decision, right? When we see this card in the upright, it's really about making a decision on an intuitive level, and going with your gut instinct and your gut feeling. And I feel like you're kind of you're not as confident right now about your ability to make decisions. You might have made some decisions in the past that didn't necessarily pan out the way that you thought they were. And that was kind of showing up with the Seven of Cups that just came out. But really, I feel like ultimately you are afraid to make a decision, because you're afraid to make the wrong decision. And the clarification for that is the Moon, the Lady, and the Ship. So you kind of feel like there's something being hidden from you, something that's not being revealed to you. There's this idea here of this woman that's showing up in the card here, that isn't necessarily being honest, isn't really telling you all the things that you need to know. But there is also this sense that you're kind of afraid of something being revealed to you, or you're kind of afraid of information. There is like a little bit of a fear attached to this card, especially with the ship card. The ship card is an indication that you're kind of sinking into like your intuition, but there's a fear of traveling, there's a fear of exploration, and there is this element of this female that's in the car that's showing up here. This could be a woman that is emotional. She is also intuitive, and so there is a sense that you might be afraid of making some choices because you feel like you don't have the full information, or you could also be afraid of some information coming out to this woman, like she might be able to intuit some things that you don't necessarily want her to know. I feel like you might be kind of like hiding something from her, or something is being hidden from you. So I mean, kind of know how that's playing out in your situation, right? Apply it as you see fit. The outcome for this reading, the final outcome, is being represented by the Six of Wands in the reverse. And so when we see the final outcome, it's basically like if you continue on the path that you're continuing on, this is what's going to happen, right? And so the Six of Wands in the upright is being victorious, but the Six of Wands in reverse is basically like a delayed type of victory. So, waiting for things to come out. Like I said, you're waiting for something, you're waiting for information to come out, you're waiting for something. But ultimately, I feel like there is like a little bit of a touch of ego attached to this, or a little bit of like, a personal failure, right? I'm going to take a look at the clarifying cards for this. Okay, so the clarifying cards is the mountain, the snake, and the tree. So, this is really talking about a period of like kind of going through some challenges. This could be like internal challenges, but for some of you, this could be like a physical challenge. Like you might be recovering from an illness, or you might be kind of like waiting for information about an illness, or a reoccurring type of illness that's coming back up. And I feel like that's kind of like stagnating you a little bit. There's like with the tree, the tree runs deep. So this is something that's been happening for a while. This might be like it's like a physical challenge, right? A physical issue. And so ultimately that's where we're going. Now, a lot of the things that we think in our head, or the blockages that we think about, we actually manifest and create them in our real lives. And so that is something to be mindful of. The mind is a very powerful tool. And so if you are focused on these things, but you're not actively dealing with them, you could be really kind of bringing this about into your own life. So that is something to think about. I want to go ahead and pull the advice card and see what the advice cards have to say. The advice card that came out for you guys is Warrior. Be fearless and stand strong. Don't back down. Make your opinions heard and don't settle for second best. A warrior is someone or anyone who is ready and willing to know themselves and do what needs to be done in order to get where they want to be. In this deck, the warrior embodies fierce primal love, the warrior within. The energy you can call on to protect yourself. Even if you don't think you love yourself, if you are exposed to a situation that could be harmful or dangerous, the steps you take to protect yourself are in fact acts of fierce love. Although the warrior in this card is surrounded by darkness, he is of the light. The warrior within is made of light and has the capacity to shine even more brightly when facing darkness head on. If you're experiencing fear at this time, know that this means whatever is going on is important to you. Whenever you feel fear, you're on the verge of something big, perhaps a massive breakthrough that is going to really help you move forward. If you have a situation on your hands where you have to face someone or something that's been unsettling you, know that you are being guided to call upon your inner warrior. Don't falter and don't be frightened, because you have the energy to protect yourself now and at all times. And that is the end of our reading. I want to thank you so much for being here and listening. Please like the video, share your thoughts and comments down below. Share the video with someone that you think might benefit from the message here. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for post notifications. And I will see you soon.